Hello everyone, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. How are we all today? Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. I promised a look at the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is occurring at 5 degrees on the 26th of May. And I've chosen a Washington chart, but really the information is can be used or is valid or is applicable. No matter where in the world that you're watching from, the planets and the aspects, the squares, the oppositions, the general themes that are coming across in this chart will be the same. But with Washington, we can have a look at what might be ending and what might be beginning, because a big theme of this Sagittarian eclipse is just that, is endings and beginnings. Now, I'll just call the chart up and we'll get started. I've also got a lot of cards out, so we'll have a bit of fun, a little bit of, it's fun for me. I love doing cards, but we'll have a real opportunity to drill down with cards as well after I finish the astrology, which will dovetail, but are also one and the same, because often what will happen is the cards will mirror the astrology. And astrologists and tarot readers know that it's uncanny the way that happens. So let's have a look at the astrology and we'll go from there. I've got a lot of notes because this is a really important lunar eclipse for me, because I have Mercury, Venus and the Sun all in Sagittarius in the 6th house. It really is, I guess, an important eclipse for me. The effects of this eclipse, of course, can last for up to 6 months. So if we get that kind of time frame coming through. Now, for those that know absolutely nothing about astrology, that is fine. You would know the sun signs, obviously, because I'm sure most of you can tell me what your sun sign is. But I will go, let me see, expansively and make sure that I bring everybody along in this reading. So what jumps out at me with this chart is this T-square here between the mutable signs. So when we say mutable, what it means is that things are able to flow. Sagittarius is a mutable sign. They don't fix themselves. Mutable signs are open to change, are open to the flow. So when we see this lunar eclipse in a mutable sign, we know that change is afoot. It's making a T-square to Jupiter in Pisces, another mutable sign, and another T-square to the Sun in Gemini, which of course is our one of our mutable signs as well. So T-squares to mutable signs, what does that tell us? Change is afoot. So in your life, it can manifest as change, no matter where your moon is. If it's close to around, or any planets that are close to around 5 degrees, if you have your natal chart, then have a look at where this lunar eclipse might impact you. So here we have our moon at 5 degrees in Sagittarius. For the Washington chart, we have it in the 6th house. And we go up to Jupiter in the 9th house, of course, of learning, higher knowledge. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about truth. First and foremost, is about truth. It's about gathering knowledge. It's about learning. Sagittarius's archetype is often, presented as the philosopher. Sagittarian energy is optimistic, or can be optimistic, ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is expansion, movement forward, travel, new horizons. So change is going to be a big theme of this lunar eclipse. Again, in the Washington chart, in the 6th house. Now, the 6th house, of course, is health and well-being, another theme of this chart. Some would say politics, is not healthy at the moment. And this is also another aspect of this lunar eclipse, because we're going to get some kind of truth coming out that can range from as simple an insight about something that comes to us almost in a light bulb moment, through to something more impactful, perhaps around our leadership, or truth around government, truth around leadership. So the sixth house in Washington, health, public service, also it can be organizing things as well. The sixth house is traditionally ruled by Virgo. So Virgo, of course, is organization, is application, is the detailed work. So we have that moon there in Sagittarius. We have the sun opposite, because that's what an eclipse is. The sun is opposite in the 12th house in this Washington chart, which is, again, we're wrapping up cycles, but is opposite in Gemini. So the thing, I guess the main feature of this chart is truth, sharing, knowledge, expansion. And of course, the sun in Gemini is the mind. It is the communication. It's words, it's thoughts, it's information in, information out. So that's why I'm focusing on truth coming forward in some way for us. We might learn something. Secrets might be revealed. So if there's something that you've been puzzling over, even in your private life, your personal life, something could be revealed to you with this kind of energy. And of course, up here, Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter used to rule Pisces at one stage. And of course, it rules Sagittarius. So even though it's not quite as comfortable in Pisces as what it would be in Sagittarius, nevertheless, it finds a home there. So the main feature for me is the moon in Sagittarius, truth, knowledge. And we go over to Gemini, information in and information out, and expansion. So for me, I will not be at all surprised at the individual level or even at the collective level that we don't learn a truth. Now, what that truth will be, I don't know. That will be different for all of us. So revelations, secrets being revealed, what is hidden comes to the surface. And of course, that is, again, another archetype of the moon. You have, certainly in the tarot archetype, you've got the scorpion coming out of the sea on a lunar night to reveal something deep and buried comes to the surface. Now, I was watching another astrologer and she put up a graphic and it reminded me of the quote, Molly McCord, I think was the astrologer. She put up the Buddha quote, and I think this is very apt, and I want to re-quote that. Buddha said, 3 things can't be hidden, the sun, the moon, and the truth. So if we look at that Buddha saying, we've got it's resonating for me at a level, at some kind of level, because we have so much at the individual level also. It's like we're on the edge. Now, as you know, I'm a Sagittarian and I have Venus and Mercury in that 6th house. So this eclipse is really, really starting to affect me. I could feel its effects about a week ago. And so I'm wondering, what is likely to come forward for me, bearing in mind that the energies or the impacts or influences of this eclipse will stretch out over the next 6 months. So letting go and new beginnings. Why would I say that? Well, if I look at this Washington chart, we've got all these planets, including the North Node. I haven't even started on that. The North Node in the 12th house. So the South Node correspondingly would be in the 6th house. So this 12th house bringing south nodes. It's the knowledge we bring into this lifetime that we've gathered over many, many lifetimes. It's not necessarily always bad. Some astrologers have a tendency to think south nodes are all negative, and that they govern the lessons that the karma that we have in this life, which is expressed through that north node. It's the polarity. Not necessarily all bad. What have we brought with us? And I think at the innate human level, we know that we have to evolve. We know we've got to move forward. And so again, this chart, so we bring that knowledge through in our DNA, in our genes. We know we have to evolve. And over here in the North Node tells us we're going to evolve through information, clarity, logic, knowledge, science, concrete inputs. Now, up here, we have Neptune in Pisces, up in that 10th house. And of course, the 10th house can be long-term goals as well. It's public image, sure, and it can be career, but it can also be what we're aiming for in the longer term. In a more complex chart, Pallas Athena is also sitting on top of Neptune. Pallas Athena is an asteroid, and of course is associated again with justice, the law. So when you look at the possibilities of this chart, and this is a Washington chart, you can see that a lot of truth is coming forward already, and more is to come. Now it's making a square to Mercury, and also I think to Venus there. So that's telling us that some are trying to cloud the truth, even at our microscopic, I guess, environment. You know, our individual level, not so much the collective. I think you are, or don't be surprised if somebody who has a pattern that you might have been, you know, putting up with something, or not asserting yourself, or not standing strong in your own authenticity, because Sagittarius, very authentic. You could be hearing things that you might have missed before. And it's not that someone else is saying anything new. You're hearing it in a different way. And this is why when leaders start to spin, when I say spin is a word for trying to fool us by it's not exactly lying, it's just putting a spin on a fact so that it presents well for their aim. When we start to hear that, it's starting to grate. We want the truth. We don't want to be lied to. So any lies or any leaders who are attempting to spin things for their own aim, they're less likely to be able to throw that cloak or that veil of illusion over us. So letting go, new beginnings. Mercury is retrograde, so it's not all going to play out smoothly, is it? We know that there's going to be obstacles. And how do we know that in this chart? Because we've got Saturn here in Aquarius, thankfully, moved out of Capricorn, now in Aquarius in the 9th house. So forcing us to listen to the facts, to hear the facts, but we've also got Uranus in Taurus over here in the 11th house. So those two big planets are shaking things up. So again, just because Saturn might tell us that the way forward is the way that we've always done things, it's the safe, it's the structured way, Uranus is saying, hang on a minute, we've got to evolve. We want to learn. So it's not business as usual, I guess, is what I'm saying. At the individual level and at the collective level and at the global level, it is not business as usual. And we have Chiron up here again in the 11th house. It's like we're all having a combined, a global, a collective identity crisis. And we're having that because there are wounds that we need to heal. So I come down here to Mars in the 2nd house in Cancer. And of course, it is opposite Pluto in the 8th house, which again, as I said, letting go. We are being forced to let go of what no longer serves us. And the 2nd house is very much concerned with our security, our material possessions, our income. 2nd house is ruled by Taurus. And of course, we go up to the 8th house, death, rebirth, Pluto, taking deep dives. So another aspect of Uranus in Taurus is asking us, what do we value? What do we value? How do we want to move forward? And of course, underlying all of this is that knowledge, this moon in Sagittarius, Sun in Gemini, North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. That's been that way for a while now. It's asking us to evolve. So while these charts that I've been doing at eclipse time, at full moon time, have that in common, have endings and new beginnings. This chart to me screams truth. Truth via information that we are getting is going to help us move forward, and we are on the threshold or the cusp of change. So these are the dominant energies that we'll see playing out over the next 6 months. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? I think I've probably covered everything that in my notes. But I do want to make the point that we will be conscious of what people are doing, I think, at a very intuitive level, because Neptune in Pisces up there in the 10th house is not necessarily a negative thing. A lot of astrologers will look at that and go, well, that's illusionary, that's, but when we take it in, I guess, in consideration of this entire chart, we've got a trine here to Pluto. We know what we need to let go of. And Neptune in Pisces it's bringing forward that inner knowing. And we know what will serve us well in terms of our evolution and what won't. And we're seeing that very clearly. We'll have to make decisions about that. And right now we're gathering all of that information in order to make those decisions. So that's the astrology of the lunar eclipse. Let's just take a look now at some oracle cards and some tarot. They are new decks that I have purchased recently. Thank you all for the kindness. I do make sure I keep a up-to-date library of cards and hopefully ones that resonate with you. So I have new decks. So I have, let me see if I can, I'll put them in the drop-down menu, but this is, I think, the new Shaman, here it is. Excuse me for reaching across. We have the Shaman's Dream Oracle, which is new. I also have the Oracle of Hidden Worlds by Lucy Cavendish. I also have the Silver City Tarot. These are all new. I love they're like getting presents. It's like Christmas when these decks arrive. And one that I'm particularly loving, and that is the Tarot of the Divine. I've wanted this deck for, about a year now, and I've just not gotten around to buying it. And I thought, no, I'll get it. So let's get started on the tarot. So So, you know, you may have an intuition about what sort of truths might be coming out for you over the next few weeks, the next 6 months even. There is something life-changing, because this eclipse is all about change. There's something life-changing about this lunar eclipse. That's my intuitive feel on it. Let's see what the cards are going to tell us. Okay, so what can you tell us about the energies of this lunar eclipse in Sagittarius? 5 degrees Sagittarius, 26th of May. What can you tell us, please, Spirit, about the energies, the themes, the challenges, the issues, the revelations that this lunar eclipse might bring forward? So we have Eyes of the Eagle. Eyes of the Eagle, rising above the fray. So that fits again, you know, fits with the astrology, that we're able to see the truth when we can have enough perspective on it. Often we don't see it when we're right up close to it. But we're above the fray. What does the eagle do? The eagle is able to look down. And there's something around this faith question that came up in my last reading, the Hierophant card, having faith, that really resonated with me. And I guess as a Sagittarius, and I do have Gemini rising, so again, another reason why why the eclipse is going to impact on me. And I'll tell you how I felt during it in a subsequent reading, is freedom. We need to get above the fray. We're not happy when we're down there, are we? We need to, again, the philosopher, the Sagittarius archetype, the philosopher takes us above the fray. And there we find an expansiveness, hence the Jupiter energy, Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, that gives us that feeling of blissful freedom. So, Eyes of the Eagle, long-sighted as well. What does the eagle do? Long-sighted, it can see its prey. It knows how to, I mean, that's a, you know, bit of a, I don't know, an analogy, but we're able to see our target. In the hand, the universe is your partner. I love these messages. I absolutely love them. In the hand, the universe is your partner. Long time ago, a young lady who had been traumatized in another professional life that I was in came to see me, and she drew a picture of a huge hand, and within that hand was her, but the drawing was her as a small body and this huge big hand. And this is the kind of feeling that I'm getting, that despite all our trauma, there is a knowledge that we are being cared for, that the universe, even though it brings forward terrible pain and suffering, has our backs in many ways. And I guess that comes back to faith again, faith, belief, love. And then we have Fool's Embrace, transmuting pain. Wow. This card came up this morning in another reading for me. It just kept flicking into my view, whether it was at the bottom of the deck or, you know, elsewhere. Transmuting pain. Fool's Embrace. Transmuting pain. There's something about a spiritual connection, because Sagittarius being highly, you know, the philosopher, the higher mind, spiritual connection. What do we bring through at a higher level in terms of that south node in Sagittarius and the north node in Gemini? Are these innate knowledge, innate wisdom about what we need to do? And that is the basis of faith, isn't it? Wow. Thank you. They were quite strong messages. At the base of the pack, we have Spirit of the River, movement toward adventure. Yes, we are. And that's another theme of this eclipse. Again, the cards mirroring the astrology, movement forward. What does Sagittarius do? It takes us forward through our learning. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at, with this higher knowledge, this higher truth, this particular deck, which is the Oracle of the Hidden Worlds, is quite spiritual. So let's, well, they all are, aren't they? They all are. Let's take a look at what else we need to know. What are the messages, I guess? What are the messages from Spirit? What are the messages? So we've honed in on, tapped into the energies. Let's see what the direct messages are from Spirit. What are the messages from Spirit? Okay, so we have here the relics of Lemuria, fragments, memories, reclaiming. What did I just say? We bring in this knowledge of the past. And of course, Jupiter will stay in Pisces a short time more before it starts, I think a few days before it starts to move back into Aquarius. And of course, I associate things like Atlantis, like Lemuria, with this higher-minded, evolutionary part of our humanism, and our souls as well. Okay, so what else have we got here? The leap, ecstasy, bliss, and belief. The leap of faith, literally, the leap of faith. So what does that do when we dive like that? When we allow ourselves to believe, we do bring forward the aspect of faith that calms any sort of storm, any sort of transmuting that pain. And we have the liminal dance, delicacy, fragility, transience, and this is of course Stonehenge. So we're reminded that the reality that we see here and now, the concrete reality, I guess, we're not here for a long time. We are here, we're born, we live a fairly quick life cycle, and we die and we return home. And so there's a certain fragility about our lives. And, you know, I guess the politicians, the leaders that hold themselves up, you know, for the kind of example that is so transient, I guess there's learning there. There's learning there for them. Delicacy, fragility, and transience. And we have the fairy energy, the fae, growth, expansion, and a flowering. So I think what is transient, what is no longer useful for us, slips away, and I guess our movement forward comes with a certain amount of a leap of faith, but also knowing that leap is somehow easier, or not easier, but somehow smoother, that we've got some kind of help here based on our knowledge of the past, of what worked for us and what didn't. The base of the pack, we've got the Angel Gate. Now, that eclipse, there are a number of planets that are at 11 degrees, and that was the other thing I meant to mention. I found that incredibly, it just jumped out at me. Let me tell you what they are. Just bear with me and I'll get the chart up again. So 11 degrees. Oh, I'll have to share it. I think it's worth going back in and having a look at that. Just hold on, please, while we just have a look at what is at 11 degrees. Yeah, of course, Chiron in Aries. You know, our collective identity crisis, our collective wound. You know, what is helping us is spirit. 11 is the gateway to the other worlds, the other realms, the higher realms, in the 11th house, of course, which is the collective, which is the group, the networks, etc. What else is at 11 degrees? There's something else too. Yeah, Jupiter is at 1 degrees in Pisces, 1 degrees 11. 1 degrees 11. So there in the 9th house, before Jupiter makes a brief appearance into Pisces before it moves back into Aquarius. So that just struck me. Chiron at 11 degrees. Okay. All right, let's pull some tarot. Now, which deck is the question? Which deck is the question? I might use the Tarot of the Divine because I've been waiting for it for so long. Okay. Well, it was my own procrastination, but here we have it. I've got it now. All right, so let's see the eclipse. What truth is likely to come out during this eclipse time? What truth is likely to come out for us? What are we likely to learn around this eclipse time? What truth is likely to come out? So we have here the Four of Cups. Whatever does come out at the individual and the collective level carries with it a level of sometimes the Four of Cups can be a bit like an existential crisis, that we learn something that we wish it was another way. We wish it was another way. But there's a cup being presented to us with the Four of Cups. We've lost 3, but we've still got 1 left. And we have the 10 of Coins, which is legacies. Legacies, family, money, wealth, inheritance, health and well-being as well. So again, that's where our focus is going to be here. Let's see what's at the foundation of the reading. Yeah, everything is in review. The 7 of Pentacles, we're reviewing, again, what we really value, how we want to go forward, because we know, again, some things are almost preordained. If you want to take that higher, eagle-like view of things, some things are bound to happen. The King of Swords. Yeah, this is this Gemini energy. Information in, information out, receiving information, communicating information. The 5 of Coins. 5 of Coins, some kind of loss, being left out in the cold, so to speak, the door being shut to us. That's what happens when we have to let go of what no longer serves us, because there's a victimhood to this card. The next card is the 6 of Pentacles, which is somebody's offering you a helping hand. Okay, and we had that helping hand type of energy that came up in the Oracle cards. It's all about truth. The Knight of Swords. This is an air energy. It's Gemini energy. It's a truth coming out. So what are we going to learn? We're going to learn the truth. This isn't a political reading, but we're going to learn the truth. The 4 of Wands. It's about us coming back together in some kind of unity to decide what is no longer serving us and how we want to move forward. And that's happening at the community level. Sometimes, you know, we get so focused on something, we forget to look for the signs that tell us, that talk to us about well-being, right at that, down at that micro level. The Six of Wands in the environment around emerging victorious, triumphant over what has separated us. That's the kind of higher level energy here. The Empress card, abundance. We want abundance, and that's that Taurian energy, that Uranus energy as well, and forcing us to change. And even though Taurus, of course, is a fixed sign, Uranus is about dynamic change. It's about dynamic growth as well. And toward abundance, what is holding us back? What do we need to do to move forward? And the outcome, Three of Coins, working together to build something, working together. It takes a, what is that saying? It takes a village. And we're starting to realize that as well. Endings and beginnings, clarified by the Death card, transforming what we need to, letting go of what we need to let go of. So one more card, the Page of Cups. Yeah, this is also it can be a surprise. So what truth are we learning? We're learning that the truth is there. The truth is definitely out there. And we're also learning that cooperation is what will take us forward. And sometimes we've got to leave things behind. If people aren't ready to learn those lessons, we've got to leave them behind till they catch up. They'll catch up eventually. Eventually they catch up, whether it's in this lifetime or another. And at times we've got to check ourselves as well. The Page of Wands, yeah, movement forward. Movement forward. What's at the base of the pack? The Eight of Coins, the Three of Wands, ships coming in, and work. We've got work to do, but we've got the skills there to do that work. I was watching an interview with an Australian scientist who is developing drugs that make the difference. Once someone gets COVID, they can be given these drugs and the ramifications are not as serious. I'm reminded at the dedication and the talent of our fellow human beings that have spent years, decades learning and honing their craft. We have innovative people amongst us, artists, people who build buildings, for example. And it's about focusing on forward movement and letting go of what no longer serves us. And in order to do that, it's this truth that is coming forward. So that's the full moon in Sagittarius eclipse. I'll let you know how it impacts on me. And let me know also how you're feeling. It's quite a rare occasion because the lunar eclipse, it's called a blood moon. It has to, the sun, the moon, the earth have to align. And at the time, the moon has to be full. So quite a rare one in Sagittarius. So it is all about the truth. Okay, I'll be back again with another reading soon. Thank you so much for joining me today.